I'd like to know what you feel as far as the responsibilities of representing mankind on this trip.
That's relatively difficult to answer. It's a job that we collectively said that was possible and we could do, and of course the nation itself is backing us, so we just sincerely hope that we measure up to that.
It's designed to get 2 Americans to the lunar surface and back again to Earth safely. The enormity of this event is something that only history will be able to judge.
Apollo 11 has very simply been given the mission of carrying men to the moon, landing them there, and bringing them safely back.
I can feel it in here when it's on. Okay, I'll flight controllers. Go to go. I don't go. GNC, go. Econ, go. Surgeon, go. Captain onward, go for landing. Here, go for landing, over. Roger, go for landing. 90 feet, 2.5 down. 30 seconds. Go forward, just to the right, go. 90 feet, 2.5. Forward, just to the right. Contact light.
Between 1968 and 1972, America launched 9 human missions to the moon, 6 of which successfully touched down, allowing 12 men to walk on the lunar surface.
50 years ago, we pioneered a path to the moon. The trail we blazed cut through the fictions of science and showed us all what was possible.
Very pretty out here.
Today, our calling to explore is even greater. To go farther, we must be able to sustain missions of greater distance and duration. We must use the resources we find at our destinations. We must overcome radiation, isolation, gravity, and extreme environments like never before. These are the challenges we face to push the bounds of humanity. We're going to the moon to stay by 2024, and this is how.
This all starts with the ability to get larger, heavier payloads off-planet and beyond Earth's gravity.
For this, we designed an entirely new rocket.
The Space Launch System. SLS will be the most powerful rocket ever developed.
And with components in production
And more in testing?
This system is capable of being the catalyst for deep space missions
we need a capsule
that can support humans from launch
through deep space and return safely back to Earth.
For this, we've built Orion.
This is NASA's next-generation human space capsule.
Using data from lunar orbiters that continue to reveal the moon's hazards and resources.
We're currently developing an entirely new approach to landing and operating on the moon.
Using our commercial partners to deliver science instruments and robotics to the surface, we are paving the way for human missions in 2024.
Our charge is to go quickly and to stay, to press our collective efforts forward with a fervor that will see us return to the moon in a manner that is wholly different than 50 years ago.
We want lunar landers that are reusable,
that can land anywhere on the lunar surface. The simplest way to do so is to give them a platform in orbit around the moon from which to transition.
An orbiting platform to host deep space experiments and be a waypoint for human capsules. We call this lunar outpost Gateway.
The beauty of the Gateway is that it can be moved between orbits.
It will balance between the Earth and Moon's gravity,
in a position that is ideal for launching even deeper space missions.
In 2009, we learned that the moon contains millions of tons of water ice.
This ice can be extracted and purified for water. It can be separated in oxygen for breathing or hydrogen for rocket fuel.
The moon is quite uniquely suited
to prepare us and propel us to Mars and beyond.
This is what we are building.
This is what we're training for.
This we can replicate throughout the solar system.
This is the next chapter of human space exploration.
Humans are the most fragile element of this entire endeavor, and yet we go for humanity. We go to the moon and on to Mars to seek knowledge and understanding and to share it with all. We go knowing our efforts will create opportunities that cannot be foreseen. We go because we are destined to explore and see it with our own eyes. We turn towards the moon now, not as a conclusion, but as preparation, as a checkpoint toward all that lies beyond. Our greatest adventures remain ahead of us. We are going.
We're going.
We are going.
We are going.
We're going.
Farouk Elbaz is the research professor and director of the Center for Remote Sensing at Boston University. His research has resulted in important advances in archaeology, geology, and geography. In 1966, Dr. Elbaz participated in the discovery of the first offshore oil in the Gulf of Suez. From 1967 to 1972, he was the supervisor of lunar science planning for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, Apollo program. And from 1973 to 1982, he established and directed the Center for Earth and Planetary Studies at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. From 1978 to 1981, Dr. Elbaz was science advisor to Anwar Sadat, then president of Egypt. Dr. Elbaz has conducted field investigations in every major desert in the world and is known for his pioneering work in using space images to explore for groundwater in arid lands. He is credited with the discovery of groundwater resources in Egypt, Somalia, Sudan, Oman, and the United Arab Emirates. In 1999, the Geological Society of America Foundation established the Farouk Elbaz Award for Desert Research to encourage and reward excellence in arid land studies worldwide. Dr. Elbaz has participated in projects with the Smithsonian Institution, National Science Foundation, International Astronomical Union, UNESCO, and was the president of the Arab Society of Desert Research. Among the many awards Dr. Elbaz has received are the Apollo Achievement Award, Exceptional Scientific Achievement Medal, and the Special Recognition Award, all from NASA, Certificate of Merit of the World Aerospace Education Organization, Arab Republic of Egypt Order of Merit First Class, Award for Public Understanding of Science and Technology of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, State of Nevada Medal 2004, and Pioneer Award of the Arab Saud Foundation. Dr. Elbaz is a fellow of the Explorers Club, Academy of Sciences for the Developing World, African Academy of Sciences, Arab Academy of Sciences, Islamic Academy of Sciences, the Royal Moroccan Academy of Sciences and Technology, and the U.S. National Academy of Engineering. Eventually, nothing can be said to you, Dr. Elbaz, except chapeau.
I'd like to know what you feel as far as the responsibilities of representing mankind on this trip.
That's relatively difficult to answer. It's a job that we collectively said that was possible and we could do, and of course the nation itself is backing us, so we just sincerely hope that we measure up to that.
It's designed to get two Americans to the lunar surface and back again to Earth safely. The enormity of this event is something that only history will be able to judge.
Apollo 11 has very simply been given the mission of carrying men to the moon, landing them there, and bringing them safely back.
Okay, all flight controllers, go to go. GNC, go. Econ, go. Surgeon, go. Capcom, we're go for landing. Here, go for landing, over. Roger, go for landing. 30 feet, 2.5 now. 30 seconds. 4 forward, just to the right, now. 20 feet, now half. Forward, just to the right. Contact right.
Between 1968 and 1972, America launched 9 human missions to the moon, 6 of which successfully touched down, allowing 12 men to walk on the lunar surface.
50 years ago, we pioneered a path to the moon. The trail we blazed cut through the fictions of science and showed us all what was possible.
Very pretty out here.
Today, our calling to explore is even greater. To go farther, we must be able to sustain missions of greater distance and duration. We must use the resources we find at our destinations. We must overcome radiation, isolation, gravity, and extreme environments like never before. These are the challenges we face to push the bounds of humanity. We're going to the moon to stay by 2024, and this is how.
This all starts with the ability to get larger, heavier payloads off-planet and beyond Earth's gravity.
For this, we designed an entirely new rocket.
The Space Launch System. SLS will be the most powerful rocket ever developed.
And with components in production
and more in testing,
this system is capable of being the catalyst for deep space missions.
We need a capsule
that can support humans from launch
through deep space and return safely back to Earth.
For this, we've built Orion.
This is NASA's next generation human space capsule.
Using data from lunar orbiters that continue to reveal the moon's hazards and resources,
we're currently developing an entirely new approach to landing and operating on the moon.
Using our commercial partners to deliver science instruments and robotics to the surface, we are paving the way for human missions in 2024.
Our charge is to go quickly and stay, to press our collective efforts forward with a fervor that will see us return to the moon in a manner that is wholly different than 50 years ago.
We want lunar landers that are reusable,
that can land anywhere on the lunar surface. The simplest way to do so is to give them a platform in orbit around the moon from which to transition.
An orbiting platform to host deep space experiments and be a waypoint for human capsules. We call this lunar outpost Gateway.
The beauty of the Gateway is that it can be moved between orbits.
It will balance between the Earth and Moon's gravity,
in a position that is ideal for launching even deeper space missions.
In 2009, we learned that the moon contains millions of tons of water ice.
This ice can be extracted and purified for water. It can be separated in oxygen for breathing or hydrogen for rocket fuel.
The moon is quite uniquely suited
to prepare us and propel us to Mars and beyond.
This is what we are building.
This is what we're training for.
This we can replicate throughout the solar system.
This is the next chapter of human space exploration.
Humans are the most fragile element of this entire endeavor, and yet we go for humanity. We go to the moon and on to Mars to seek knowledge and understanding and to share it with all. We go knowing our efforts will create opportunities that cannot be foreseen. We go because we are destined to explore and see it with our own eyes. We turn towards the moon now, not as a conclusion, but as preparation, as a checkpoint toward all that lies beyond. Our greatest adventures remain ahead of us. We are going.
We're going.
We are going.
We are going.
We're going.
Farouk is the research professor and director of the Center for Remote Sensing at Boston University. His research has resulted in important advances in archaeology, geology, and geography. In 1966, Dr. Abbas participated in the discovery of the first offshore oil in the Gulf of Suez. From 1967 to 1972, he was the supervisor of lunar science planning for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, Apollo program. And from 1973 to 1982, he established and directed the Center for Earth and Planetary Studies at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. From 1978 to 1981, Dr. Abbas was science advisor to Anwar Sadat, then president of Egypt. Dr. Abbas has conducted field investigations in every major desert in the world and is known for his pioneering work in using space images to explore for groundwater in arid lands. He is credited with the discovery of groundwater resources in Egypt, Somalia, Sudan, Oman, and the United Arab Emirates. In 1999, the Geological Society of America Foundation established the Farouk El-Baz Award for Desert Research to encourage and reward excellence in arid land studies worldwide. Dr. Abbas has participated in projects with the Smithsonian Institution, National Science Foundation, International Astronomical Union, UNESCO, and was the president of the Arab Society of Desert Research. Among the many awards Dr. Abbas has received are the Apollo Achievement Award, Exceptional Scientific Achievement Medal, and the Special Recognition Award, all from NASA. Certificate of Merit of the World Aerospace Education Organization, Arab Republic of Egypt Order of Merit First Class, Award for Public Understanding of Science and Technology of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, State of Nevada Medal 2004, and Pioneer Award of the Arab Saud Foundation. Dr. Abbas is a fellow of the Explorers Club, Academy of Sciences for the Developing World, African Academy of Sciences, Arab Academy of Sciences, Islamic Academy of Sciences, the Royal Moroccan Academy of Sciences and Technology, and the U.S. National Academy of Engineering. Eventually, nothing can be said to you, Dr. Abbas, except chapeau.
I'd like to know what you feel as far as the responsibilities of representing mankind on this trip.
That's relatively difficult to answer. It's a job that we collectively said that was possible and we could do, and And of course, the nation itself is backing us, so we just sincerely hope that we measure up to that.
It's designed to get two Americans to the lunar surface and back again to Earth safely. The enormity of this event is something that only history will be able to judge. Apollo 11 has very simply been given the mission of carrying men to the moon, landing them there, and bringing them safely back.
You can feel it in here when it's on the bell. Like the colors go. No, I don't. Go. GNC, go. Econ, go. Surgeon, go. Captain onward, go for landing. Finger, go for landing, over. Roger, go for landing. 90 feet, 2.5 down. 30 seconds. More forward, just to the right, go. 90 feet, 2.5. Forward, just to the right. Contact light.
Between 1968 and 1972, America launched 9 human missions to the moon, 6 of which successfully touched down, allowing 12 men to walk on the lunar surface.
50 years ago, we pioneered a path to the moon. The trail we blazed cut through the fictions of science and showed us all what was possible.
Very pretty out here.
Today, our calling to explore is even greater. To go farther, we must be able to sustain missions of greater distance and duration. We must use the resources we find at our destinations. We must overcome radiation, isolation, gravity, and extreme environments like never before. These are the challenges we face to push the bounds of humanity. We're going to the moon to stay by 2024, and this is how.
This all starts with the ability to get larger, heavier payloads off planet and beyond Earth's gravity.
For this, we designed an entirely new rocket.
The Space Launch System. SLS will be the most powerful rocket ever developed.
And with components in production
and more in testing,
this system is capable of being the catalyst for deep space missions.
we need a capsule
that can support humans from launch
through deep space and return safely back to Earth.
For this, we've built Orion.
This is NASA's next generation human space capsule.
Using data from lunar orbiters that continue to reveal the moon's hazards and resources.
We're currently developing an entirely new approach to landing and operating on the moon.
Using our commercial partners to deliver science instruments and robotics to the surface, we are paving the way for human missions in 2024.
Our charge is to go quickly and to stay, to press our collective efforts forward with a fervor that will see us return to the moon in a manner that is wholly different than 50 years ago.
We want lunar landers that are reusable,
that can land anywhere on the lunar surface. The simplest way to do so is to give them a platform in orbit around the moon from which to transition.
An orbiting platform to host deep space experiments and be a waypoint for human capsules. We call this lunar outpost Gateway.
The beauty of the Gateway is that it can be moved between orbits.
It will balance between the Earth and Moon's gravity,
in a position that is ideal for launching even deeper space missions.
In 2009, we learned that the moon contains millions of tons of water ice.
This ice can be extracted and purified for water. It can be separated in oxygen for breathing or hydrogen for rocket fuel.
The moon is quite uniquely suited
to prepare us and propel us to Mars and beyond.
This is what we're building.
This is what we're training for.
This we can replicate throughout the solar system.
This is the next chapter of human space exploration.
Humans are the most fragile element of this entire endeavor, and yet we go for humanity. We go to the moon and on to Mars to seek knowledge and understanding and to share it with all. We go knowing our efforts will create opportunities that cannot be foreseen. We go because we are destined to explore and see it with our own eyes. We turn towards the moon now, not as a conclusion, but as preparation, as a checkpoint toward all that lies beyond. Our greatest adventures remain ahead of us. We are going.
We're going.
We are going.
We
are going. We're going.
Farouk Elbaz is the research professor and director of the Center for Remote Sensing at Boston University. His research has resulted in important advances in archaeology, geology, and geography. In 1966, Dr. Elbaz participated in the discovery of the first offshore oil in the Gulf of Suez. From 1967 to 1972, he was the supervisor of lunar science planning for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, Apollo program. And from 1973 to 1982, he established and directed the Center for Earth and Planetary Studies at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. From 1978 to 1981, Dr. Elbaz was science advisor to Anwar Sadat, then president of Egypt. Dr. Elbaz has conducted field investigations in every major desert in the world and is known for his pioneering work in using space images to explore for groundwater in arid lands. He is credited with the discovery of groundwater resources in Egypt, Somalia, Sudan, Oman, and the United Arab Emirates. In 1999, the Geological Society of America Foundation established the Farouk Elbaz Award for Desert Research to encourage and reward excellence in arid land studies worldwide. Dr. Elbaz has participated in projects with the Smithsonian Institution, National Science Foundation, International Astronomical Union, UNESCO, and was the president of the Arab Society of Desert Research. Among the many awards Dr. Elbaz has received are the Apollo Achievement Award, Exceptional Scientific Achievement Medal, and the Special Recognition Award, all from NASA. Certificate of Merit of the World Aerospace Education Organization, Arab Republic of Egypt Order of Merit First Class, Award for Public Understanding of Science and Technology of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, State of Nevada Medal 2004, and Pioneer Award of the Arab Saud Foundation. Dr. Elbaz is a fellow of the Explorers Club, Academy of Sciences for the Developing World, African Academy of Sciences, Arab Academy of Sciences, Islamic Academy of Sciences, the Royal Moroccan Academy of Sciences and Technology, and the U.S. National.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to International STEM and Innovation Colloquia Series, ISICS Series 1, 2021. Before we start this event, I would like to have your attention for a few things to ensure this event runs smoothly. Please stay still and respect the UNIMED official song right after the guest of honor ready on the time. Please put your microphone on silent to prevent any unexpected situation. Please stay in this event till the end. We will have a photo session at the end of this event, so please be ready with your video camera. Thank you in advance for your kind cooperation.
You know, what do you feel as far as the responsibilities of representing mankind on this trip?
That's relatively difficult to answer. It's a job that we collectively said that was possible and we could do, and of course the nation itself is backing us, so we just sincerely hope that we measure up to that.
It's designed to get 2 Americans to the lunar surface and back again to Earth safely. The enormity of this event is something that only history will be able to judge. Apollo 11 has very simply been given the mission of carrying men to the moon, landing them there, and bringing them safely back. Okay, our flight controller is going to... Go, I don't go. GNC, go. Econ, go. Surgeon, go. Capcom, we're go for landing. Here, go for landing, over. Roger, go for landing. 30 feet, 2.5 down. 30 seconds. 4 forward, just to the right, now. 20 feet, 2.5. Forward, just to the right. Contact light.
Between 1968 and 1972, America launched 9 human missions to the moon, 6 of which successfully touched down, allowing 12 men to walk on the lunar surface.
50 years ago, we pioneered a path to the moon. The trail we blazed cut through the fictions of science and showed us all what was possible.
Very pretty out here.
Today, our calling to explore is even greater. To go farther, we must be able to sustain missions of greater distance and duration. We must use the resources we find at our destinations. We must overcome radiation, isolation, gravity, and extreme environments like never before. These are the challenges we face to push the bounds of humanity. We're going to the moon to stay by 2024, and this is how.
This all starts with the ability to get larger, heavier payloads off planet and beyond Earth's gravity.
For this, we designed an entirely new rocket.
The Space Launch System. SLS will be the most powerful rocket ever developed.
And with components in production
and more in testing,
this system is capable of being the catalyst for deep space missions.
we need a capsule
that can support humans from launch
through deep space and return safely back to Earth.
For this, we've built Orion.
This is NASA's next generation human space capsule.
Using data from lunar orbiters that continue to reveal the moon's hazards and resources,
we're currently developing an entirely new approach to landing and operating on the moon.
Using our commercial partners to deliver science instruments and robotics to the surface, we are paving the way for human missions in 2024.
Our charge is to go quickly and stay, to press our collective efforts forward with a fervor that will see us return to the moon in a manner that is wholly different than 50 years ago.
We want lunar landers that are reusable,
that can land anywhere on the lunar surface. The simplest way to do so is to give them a platform in orbit around the moon from which to transition.
An orbiting platform to host deep space experiments and be a waypoint for human capsules. We call this lunar outpost Gateway.
The beauty of the Gateway is that it can be moved between orbits.
It will balance between the Earth and Moon's gravity,
in a position that is ideal for launching even deeper space missions.
In 2009, we learned that the moon contains millions of tons of water ice.
This ice can be extracted and purified for water. It can be separated in oxygen for breathing or hydrogen for rocket fuel.
The moon is quite uniquely suited
to prepare us and propel us to Mars and beyond.
This is what we are building.
This is what we're training for.
This we can replicate throughout the solar system.
This is the next chapter of human space exploration.
Humans are the most fragile element of this entire endeavor, and yet we go for humanity. We go to the moon and on to Mars to seek knowledge and understanding and to share it with all. We go knowing our efforts will create opportunities that cannot be foreseen. We go because we are destined to explore and see it with our own eyes. We turn towards the moon now not as a conclusion, but as preparation, as a checkpoint toward all that lies beyond. Our greatest adventures remain ahead of us. We are going.
We're going.
We are going.
We are going.
We're going.
Farouk Elbaz is the research professor and director of the Center for Remote Sensing at Boston University. His research has resulted in important advances in archaeology, geology, and geography. In 1966, Dr. Elbaz participated in the discovery of the first offshore oil in the Gulf of Suez. From 1967 to 1972, he was the supervisor of lunar science planning for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, Apollo program. And from 1973 to 1982, he established and directed the Center for Earth and Planetary Studies at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. From 1978 to 1981, Dr. Elbaz was science advisor to Anwar Sadat, then president of Egypt. Dr. Elbaz has conducted field investigations in every major desert in the world and is known for his pioneering work in using space images to explore for groundwater in arid lands. He is credited with the discovery of groundwater resources in Egypt, Somalia, Sudan, Oman, and the United Arab Emirates. In 1999, the Geological Society of America Foundation established the Farouk Elbaz Award for Desert Research to encourage and reward excellence in arid land studies worldwide. Dr. Elbaz has participated in projects with the Smithsonian Institution, National Science Foundation, International Astronomical Union, UNESCO, and was the president of the Arab Society of Desert Research. Among the many awards Dr. Elbaz has received are the Apollo Achievement Award, Exceptional Scientific Achievement Medal, and the Special Recognition Award, all from NASA. Certificate of Merit of the World Aerospace Education Organization, Arab Republic of Egypt Order of Merit First Class, Award for Public Understanding of Science and Technology of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, State of Nevada Medal 2004, and Pioneer Award of the Arab Saud Foundation. Dr. Elbaz is a fellow of the Explorers Club, Academy of Sciences for the Developing World, African Academy of Sciences, Arab Academy of Sciences, Islamic Academy of Sciences, the Royal Moroccan Academy of Sciences and Technology, and the U.S. National Academy of Engineering. Eventually, nothing can be said to you, Dr. Elbaz, except chapeau.
Sekejap, aku panggil dia dulu. So, hi, Prof. Farouk.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
That email arrived too late.
Yeah. Okay. So we can start now. So I will pass to our MC to start. Okay.
cemerlangan wawasan jiwa kita. Dari rohaniah, berteknologi, pemimpin berpistari. Untuk bangsa, insan dan umat dunia, negara yang tercinta. Universiti Malaysia berdiri alat kedudukan dan luhur ikhlasan kecemerlangan wawasan jiwa kita.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. تولج الليل في النهار وتولج النهار في الليل وتخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي وترزق من تشاء بغير حساب. صدق الله العظيم.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam ilmu, keikhlasan, kecemerlangan. UNIMAP 2 Dekat Tradisi Gemilang Teknologi Transformasi Community. A very good day to everyone. Before I proceed, I would like to have your attention. Please put your microphone on silent to prevent any unexpected situation. Dear Honorable Professor, ladies and gentlemen, please let me acknowledge the presence of our invited special guest for today. The first one is Professor Technology Dr. Zaliman Saudi, the Vice Chancellor of University Malaysia Perlis UNIMAP, Professor Dr. Muhammad Fuad Sadan, Deputy Vice Chancellor Students Affairs and Alumni, Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor Academy International, Professor Insigne Dr. Rizal Fandi Ismail, Deputy Vice Chancellor Research and Innovation, Senior Official of the University, Deans. Our distinguished guest for today, Professor Dr. Farouk Elbas from Boston University, United States of America, USA. Our moderator, Professor Prabhakaran Pupalan. Our collaborators, the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, MOSTI. Dr. Hashima Hassan, Deputy Program Scientist, James Webb Space Telescope, NASA. National STEM Association, Academy of Sciences, Malaysia. Ministry of Education, Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Kedah, Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Perlis, and Club STEM UNIMAP. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to the International STEM and Innovation Colloquia Series ISICS Series 1. For your information, the International STEM and Innovation Colloquia Series, or in short known as ISICS, is a program initiated by UNIMAP in collaboration with other cooperating agencies to promote the disciplines of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or in short STEMs, in Malaysia. Through this program, we will be bringing speakers from various fields to share their knowledge and expertise to the Malaysian public in order to increase the interest in STEM field, especially among the school and also university students. At the end of this series, there will be a quiz and the explanation about the Series 1 short video competition for school students. Therefore, we would really appreciate it if you can stay with us until the end of this session. And in addition, ladies and gentlemen, today is 16th of September 2021, and I would like to take this opportunity to wish you a very Malaysia Day, a Selamat Hari Malaysia to Malaysian, and also we are so proud to be Malaysian. Ladies and gentlemen, we have something special for you. Let's together watch this video.
In 2002, the Ministry approved the establishment of College University Kejuruteraan Utara Malaysia, KUKUM, the 17th public university in Malaysia. In 2007, KUKUM was rebranded as UNIMAP. UNIMAP offers programs of study leading to the award of diploma, bachelor's, master's, and PhD degrees. Following the restructuring of the university in September 2020, UNIMAP now has 6 faculties offering more than 40 programs of study. Faculty of Electrical Engineering Technology, Faculty of Electronic Engineering Technology, Faculty of Mechanical Engineering Technology, Faculty of Chemical Engineering Technology, Faculty of Civil Engineering Technology, Faculty of Applied and Human Sciences. UNIMAP continuously carries out research that brings benefit to all. Nanotechnology research in UNIMAP looks into faster, easier, and more accurate detection of microbiological diseases. The HPV-CC kit has high sensitivity that allows early detection of cervical cancer through saliva. A bus monitoring system developed by the UNIMAP Center of Excellence for Advanced Sensor Technology facilitates efficient monitoring of the movement of university buses for students. Under UNIMAP's social responsibility programs, an alternative energy source kit known as EPS kit has been developed. Each year, UNIMAP produces alumni whose presence is felt the world over, in many parts of the world.
Being graduate from UNIMAP, it really helps me in adapting to the working environment, and it helps me speeding up my learning curve. And I think the best thing about UNIMAP is they don't just teach you, they prepare you.
The soft skills, problem-solving analysis, as well as a lot of hands-on practical that we practice in lab, it will help the graduates to be more confident when they graduated later on.
UNIMAP researchers are globally recognized, evident through the acquisition of numerous international grants.
UNIMAP is my first choice because the programs offered here are focused and they fulfill the expectation of the industry.
Apart from academic and research, which are the university core business, sport, culture, and volunteerism are also given due to the attention. It's up to the student to choose which field he or she wants to immerse into.
The success and achievements thus far have placed UNIMAP on the world stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to invite Professor Tenor Dr. Zaliman Sauli, the Vice Chancellor of University Malaysia Perlis UNIMAP, to deliver his speech and thereafter to appreciate the ISICS program. Please welcome our Vice Chancellor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi and a very good morning. Salam ilmu, keikhlasan, kecemerlangan, UNIMAP, 2 dekad, tradisi gemilang, teknologi, transformasi community. Honorable Deputy Vice Chancellor of UNIMAP, Professor Dr. Farouk Albas, Director of the Center for Remote Sensing, College of Engineering, Boston University, United States of America, who will be esteemed speakers for today. Also to Professor Prabhakaran as today moderator, representative from the cooperating agencies, namely the National STEM Association, MOSTI, Academic Science Malaysia, Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri, academician, teachers, students, and the public. First of all, let me extend a warm welcome to all to the first International STEM and Innovation Colloquia series. Today, International STEM and Innovation Colloquia series, or known as I6, will be the first out of the 6 planned series to be held. Ladies and gentlemen, the main objective of this colloquia is to increase the student interest and motivation in the field of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, better known as STEM. The lack of interest and motivation among the students in the field of STEM are now becoming a global issue, where Malaysia is no exception. This has caused quite an impact, not only at the school level, but at the university level as well. This can be seen from the decline in the number of students intake to the university in STEM-related studies, where the numbers are unable to fulfill the projections being made by the universities. If this trend continues, it will ultimately affect the country's human capital in the future. Therefore, I believe that universities need to play an active role in assisting the school and education departments in increasing the interest and motivation among the students to pursue STEM studies. UNIMAP, being one of the technical universities in Malaysia, has taken this issue seriously and has decided to take the initiative to be one of the key players in promoting and strengthening STEM in Malaysia. Therefore, today's event is one of the many series to come under the UNIMAP International STEM and Innovation Colloquia series, known as I6. Ladies and gentlemen, the I6 program will be held virtually through online platforms. Each of the colloquium series will feature one respected speaker being invited amongst the world-renowned scientists and technologists to share their experience in their respective fields. We will have speakers from different backgrounds and diverse fields, from geologists, physicists to astrophysicists, to deliver their talks to the public, which the target audience ranging from school to university students, and as well as to teachers and academicians. It is hoped that the sharing of knowledge, expertise, and experience by the speakers will be able to make the students to broaden their horizons on the interesting facets of science and technology. It is also hoped that this program will be able to achieve its main objective, which is to promote the disciplines of science, technology, and engineering, which in turn will be able to increase the motivations and interests amongst the school and university students to pursue the field of science and technology, both at school and at university levels. Ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, I would like to thank the various departments and agencies for which the collaborations and partnerships are very important to ensure that the objectives of this event can be achieved. My great appreciation also goes to all those who are involved, either directly or indirectly, in ensuring the success of today's events, and also the subsequent colloquia series which to follow. With that, I officiate the first International STEM and Innovation Colloquia series. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our Vice Chancellor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's together watch this video, please.
Actually, in 1974, I was sent by the U.S. State Department on a lecture tour in the Gulf region to speak about scientific results of the Apollo missions to the moon in Arabic.
Farouk El-Baz is one of the region's most renowned space scientists. Born in Egypt, he has in-depth knowledge of what it takes to work on a successful space mission.
This is a picture during the mission at NASA Houston. This is the Mission Control Center. I was the man responsible for the justification for the selection of the landing sites for all missions.
Capcom, we're go for landing. 3,000 feet. You're looking great.
When we're sitting there watching the screens and waiting for Neil Armstrong to land on the moon for the first time, we were all flying with him.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
I wasn't really thinking of myself as an Egyptian or anything. I was thinking of myself as a human being. Thinking, wow, humans we're going to land on the moon, and my God, it is wonderful that I played part of that magnificent accomplishment. We didn't think of ourselves as making history, but we were thinking of taking humanity with us. We're taking human beings and the mental capacity of humans all the way to the moon. The face of the man on the moon are made of basalt, which is a volcanic rock that is very heavy. It has a great deal of heavy elements like iron and magnesium. They attracted the spacecraft as the spacecraft went around the moon several times, so it brought it in a little bit every time, and therefore, because it was closer to the moon than we thought, it landed farther away from the landing site.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's event marks the first series of our ISC program, and we are very grateful to have Professor Dr. Farouk El-Baz with us. In his talk entitled The Reason for Success of the Apollo Mission, we will be hearing his experiences and involvements in the Apollo missions that takes place from 1967 to 1972. Without further ado, I would like to hand over the session to Professor Prabhakaran Pupalan as today's moderator, and also Professor Dr. Farouk El-Baz. Please welcome.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
Good morning here. How are you? Selamat, happy Malaysia Day. Today is Malaysia Day. Before I begin, let me briefly introduce Prof. Farouk to everybody. Prof. Farouk is an Arab-American geologist who played a leading role during the Apollo explorations of the moon. He graduated in 1958 with a Bachelor of Science from Ain Shams University, Egypt, and then in 1961 with a Master's, and 1964 with a PhD from Missouri University of Science and Technology, and later PhD MIT University of Science. He has lectured in Heidelberg University and participated in oil exploration in the Gulf of Suez. In 1967, he was appointed by NASA as Secretary of Lunar Landing Site Selection and Chairman of Astronaut Training in Orbital Observation and Photography. His role was chronicled by Tom Hanks in the TV series From Earth to the Moon in a segment entitled The Brain of Farouk El-Bas. After the Apollo program, he joined the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. and established and directed the Center for Earth and Planetary Studies, planned exhibits lunar rocks at the National Air and Space Museum. He then joined iTech Optical Systems as Vice President for Science and Technology for the utilization of advanced large format camera for photography on space shuttle missions. In 1986, he joined Boston University to establish and direct the Center for Remote Sensing. Under his direction, the center has gained international recognition in applying satellite image data to study deserts. His research projects resulted in the location of groundwater resources in the western desert of Egypt, the Rajasthan of India, in Darfur of northwestern Sudan, the Sultanate of Oman, the northern United Arab Emirates, and Republic of Chad. NASA selected it, the Center for Remote Sensing in Boston University, as Center for Excellence in Remote Sensing. This is an abridged version of his long and illustrious career as well as achievements. Without further ado, I invite upon Prof. Farouk to enlighten us on geology and the Apollo program. Prof, over to you.
Thank you. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I'd like to thank His Excellency the Vice President and my introducer, and to say that I'm delighted to be speaking with you. My first trip to Malaysia was in the 70s, and that was by invitation of my great friend Mahathir Mohamad. He wanted at the time to know from a whole bunch of other Muslim scientists what is it that Malaysia would do so that we can develop a great deal of science and technology in Malaysia. It was in the 70s. That's nearly 50 years ago. And indeed, watching what Malaysia has done, I salute him and all of you for what has been going on in Malaysia. Malaysia gives a fantastic example of an Arab country or a Muslim country or a developing country that could encourage its young men and women to train in technology and do very well and become as good as anybody else anywhere in the world. So salute to all of the Malaysian science and technology individuals and those who led the road to become this way. What I would like to do today is to summarize for you the reasons for the success of the Apollo program. I was very heavily involved in the program. My office was at NASA headquarters. It was actually right next to the NASA administrator and the Apollo program director. I knew them well, and they knew all of the proceedings as well as anything from the management point of view, in addition to the fact that I ventured into the centers, and particularly at Houston, so that I could get together with the astronauts and help them to understand what is it that they should best do. And from what I have observed, I think that the Apollo program at NASA succeeded that well because of 5 things. First, the selection of the agency to do the right job, and I'll explain that later. Second, specifying a time limit for achieving the goal of what is it that we want to do. 3, setting up the proper management to do the job, because not every manager can motivate all of the people with him or with her. 4, depend on the youth, because the youth in any country are the ones that have the energy to do the job and the intent to prove themselves, and therefore they are the working bees that can do the best possible job better than anybody else. So depend on the youth is an important component. And 5, recognize excellence, meaning if you find somebody that did something good, bring all his colleagues or her colleagues and say, thank you for this magnificent job. You did a magnificent job because of ta, 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 ta. And we want to salute you publicly, so that the rest of the group would see this and would see, oh, yeah, that if I do something well, then I will be recognized like that. So recognition of those who do well is very important. So I'll talk about these 5 points, and then I'll tell you something about my connections with the astronauts and the Apollo missions in detail. If I have the first slide, please, I can tell you that the NASA beginning was not just the way it was today, but it was very different. There were 3 different organizations trying to work on NASA programs. And then in November 5, 1957, the Soviet Union did something fantastic and sent a satellite into orbit. It was called Sputnik 1. And Sputnik didn't do anything, just rotated around the Earth. And that shook the world, and particularly shook the Americans because they didn't know what that satellite would do. And they also never had a satellite, so they were really in a big fix. Next, the president at the time was Dwight Eisenhower. He was the general that led the armies of the Second World War. And after return, after the World War II ended, he returned, and everybody thought that he did very well during that war, and they elected him president of the United States of America. And he was as stunned as any American when the Russians had Sputnik in Earth orbit with absolutely no idea in the US to do that. So he hollered at all of the people around him and he said, "Where is our program?" I told them, Mr. President, we're doing very well because we have 3 agencies working on space programs, one in the Army, one in the Navy, and one in the Air Force. Eisenhower said, aha, you have 3 government agencies that are working on the same thing. That is why the Soviet Union beat us. That's why the Soviet Union did it and we didn't. Because all these 3 will, number 1, will cover their papers, cover their research. Number 2, will try to fight each other so that the winner would be a winner that we can congratulate. This is nonsense. Close them all. Take the money from all these 3 groups and establish a civilian agency, which became NASA. And why do I say civilian? Because I want that agency to benefit from all the research centers and the universities in the country. That's why it has to be civilian, and that's why it doesn't have to be working under security problems. So that was agency selection was very important. Then came President Nixon, the President Eisenhower. After Eisenhower came Kennedy, and Kennedy, in the first speech that he made on the 1st January 1960, when I was in the States as a graduate student, he specified that we are going to send a man to the moon and bring him back alive before the end of this decade. And that was very essential, specifying a time limit for the job. So he gave them 10 years. Within these 10 years, you've got to finish that job. Send the man to the moon and bring him back to the Earth. I don't care what is it that you have to do, but that is the job. Next. So this was really a very good thing to do. And then they put a manager on to manage NASA. And he's the first time manager of NASA was James Webb. And this Jim Webb was a fantastic man. He never really stayed in his office more than one day a week to read his papers, reports, and send his or sign his letters. All the rest of the time, he went to the NASA centers and he grouped supervisors, meaning heads of groups, heads of missions, and told them the following. If you are able to get from each and every person that works for you more than what they think they are capable of doing, then we are going to make it to the moon. If you don't that, we will never make it. So what he was saying that each head of a group, each head of a bunch of people, supervisor or head of a department, your job is not to sit there and give order. Your job is to talk to each and every one that works for you, to encourage them and to push them so that they can do more than what they think they are capable of doing. That is support of all the people. Next. And then they brought in men to do the technical work. The best one was Werner von Braun, the designer of rockets, was the design of rockets for the Germans during World War II. And he became the man to design the rocket, the Saturn V, for the whole journey from the Earth to the moon. Next was the man to head the Apollo program on the right. Yes, next. The one that we had it next. Yes, the one on the right there is Rocco Petrone. He was the Apollo program director at NASA headquarters. He knew everyone in the program. My office was right next to his, and I was in communication with him at all times. He knew exactly what it is at, and he would call me in and he'd say, Farouk, the guys in Houston, they tell me that they cannot do this and and they are all kinds of nonsense. I want you to go tomorrow morning, go to Houston, find out exactly who is the person that can or would be able to do this job, and come right back. I go to Houston, find out from my friends there where this job is being done and who is the head of that job. I go and visit with him and so on, and I go back to NASA headquarters same day and fly back. And then I go to Rocco and tell him, listen, this guy said John something, and he has 6 people, and he doesn't really have the support of the management in Houston, but he is capable of doing it. His people are very good, and so I said, okay, what is his phone number? I give him his phone number. Virginia, he calls his secretary. Call this number from me. Then he will talk to the man. The man is a young man who is supervising 6 people in NASA in Houston, Texas. He'd never heard of anybody from NASA headquarters, not to mention the Apollo program director, Rocco Petrone. So Rocco calls him, hey, John, Farouk here tells me that you're doing a great job. He tells me that you have a bunch of people that are terrific engineers and they can do the job. I know your bosses at NASA in Houston, they're not really available but I am here for you. I want you to get your people, encourage them to do the job, and tell them that Rocco Petrone is waiting for what you can do. You go ahead and do. And John, if you want anything, call me. Here is my number. And if you want to call him at night, here is my home number. And he would say him, goodbye, John, and tell me, call me if you need any help. I'm sure the man in the other end would be shaking from a call from the NASA headquarters by Rocco Petrone, the Apollo program director, and he would call his people and would sit down, encourage them, and do their job as swiftly as they possibly can and as well as they possibly can. That is the way management works. Next. So with this structure of management, things can be done and things can be done easily. Next. So that you have this group of people running the show, then you only need the science behind that. And before the Apollo missions, there were 3 programs. One called Ranger, to go and crash on the lunar surface to make sure that it's hard enough for something to land. Because there was an idea before the Apollo missions that the surface of the moon will be covered by powder because of all of the impacts, the bombardment by meteorites and impacts, and the spacecraft will land and will be swallowed in the dust. So that they needed to know that there should be a hard surface to crash into. That was Ranger. And then Surveyor was something to land on the moon and actually land gently on the surface of the moon, so they can assure that a spacecraft can land on the moon. That was Surveyor program. And then most importantly, Lunar Orbiter, 5 missions to take all kinds of photographs of the moon from the far side, the near side, in all kinds of resolutions, so that we can begin to look at the surface of the moon and select landing sites, so that we would learn as much as we possibly can with the limited number of the Apollo missions. Next. And here, if you look at the moon, you have these dark regions that form the eyes of the man in the moon. And all of these dark regions are the result of the impact of very large meteorites at the time when the moon was being formed. The dark material is basalt, and basalt is a volcanic rock. So it came from beneath the surface to cover this. All the white material on all sides of the moon, or north and south, and on the far side, is the original crustal material of the moon. So with that in mind, we wanted to, number one, map the dark regions on the surface of the moon, both the very dark ones and the lighter grays, and then the white areas, at least these 3 areas, so that we can figure out the composition of the moon and therefore begin to think of the relationship between the moon and the Earth. Next. One important item is that during the Apollo missions, several of the astronauts and I went through the corridors of the Mission Control Center, and we went to ask each and every individual that worked there his age, so that we can get the average age of the people that are running the mission of the moon. So we asked the name and age, for everybody. So we finally figured out the average age of all of the people that ran the Apollo missions, and it was 26 years old. The average age, 26, meaning there were a lot of 25, 24, 23, meaning just graduates from college with just a few years. And that was a very important component of the whole thing, the youth. And why the youth? Because they are, each and every one thinks that he's great. He will just get the degree in engineering, and each and every one wants to show that he is capable of doing it. And because of his ability and because of his education, all of the information is close enough to him. So this is one of the best parts of the Apollo mission to the moon, is the fact that most of the people that ran the mission were young people, average age 26. Next. Then the astronauts themselves were younger people. The average age of the astronauts then were 29 years old, like this Turusa on the right. I was teaching him, showing him the print of the photograph so that he can figure out what he is going to encounter on his mission next. So we used the photographs to teach the astronauts a lot about what they were expected to see. Next. And in the last 3 missions, 15, 16, and 17, we added 2 things. One was a jeep, so that they can move from the landing point all the way to about 7 kilometers away to take samples from a mountain range or from a different place and so on. So that was important. Next, in addition to that, there was addition of somebody that would be in Earth orbit when this was the Apollo 15 astronaut, Al Walden, while I was teaching him what he's going to see from orbit, meaning as he will orbit the moon, he can do a great deal for us, because they stay there for many days and they can look at the moon, make observations, and discuss all kinds of things that we cannot see from the landing site. So to get to multiply the knowledge from the landing sites to larger areas of the moon. Next. That's why we added a camera, or two actually cameras, the one metric camera, one panoramic camera, and the panoramic camera itself was 7 feet long, the camera that fitted in this instrument bay, so that we could have, in addition to where the astronauts laid, but in the wall of the spacecraft, we had this space for an X-ray machine, a gamma ray machine, a metric camera, a panoramic camera. Wonderful scientific instrument bay. Next. And because we had the photographs from previous missions, we could teach the Apollo 17 astronaut, one of the last ones. So this is Ron Evans. It was the command module because of the observations that he could make on his mission based on what we know from the earlier missions. So and that worked very well. Next. Now, some things in general to appeal to you is the fact that because of the friendship with astronauts, I was able to communicate with them about the fact that I was an Egyptian, I spoke Arabic, and I'm a Muslim, and all of these kinds of things, and where they had to ask me where did I come from, where did I was educated, and all of these things. And I taught one of them on the Apollo 15 mission to actually greet the people of the earth in Arabic. And here is this situation here, right before the last year, to say, first of all, he would say, hey, King, if the king is there, because my nickname was King, if the king is there, because referring to me, Marhaban, Ahl al-Ard, min Endeavor, ilaykum salam, which means hello earth, or hello people of the earth, from Endeavor, which is the name of his spacecraft, greetings. Hello earth, or hello people of the earth, greetings from Endeavor. And he said it in Arabic. Next. In addition to that, Apollo 15 was the first mission where we had many changes to the spacecraft to add the Jeep, the transporting thing, and the sim bay with all of the instruments, including the 7-foot camera. And we were all afraid that during these changes, there is something that might go wrong. I talked to the Apollo 15 crew, and I told them, I'm going to give you the first surah of the Quran, additional protection. I knew that they will be carrying their own Bible. So they said, great, we need all the help we can get, all the protection we can get. So I got a copy of the Quran that was written in Arabic and English, so they know what is it that they're carrying. And they got my 4 daughters and myself, and we prayed in the evening before the mission, and so they made this prayer to protect the Apollo 15 mission and its crew, and they gave them that surah from the Quran, Al-Fatiha, and they took it with them as additional protection to save them, and they simply were delighted with all of that. Next. And for everybody here, I became a member of the committee of the International Astronomical Union that named features on the moon. And I'm delighted to tell you that among the features that are named on the moon are many of the names of the great Muslim and Arab or Muslim scientists, including Omar al-Khayyam, Ibn Sina, al-Bayruni, al-Khwarizmi, Ibn Abu al-Wafa, mashallah, al-Battani, al-Hasan, al-Faragani, Abu al-Fida, al-Ma'mun, Jabir ibn Hayyan, al-Sufi, al-Batruji, al-Zarqali, Thabit ibn Qurra, Nasir al-Din. All of these names, here are 18 names of great Muslim scientists who studied the astronomy in the past and made magnificent contributions, and they are honored on the moon, not even by us, but by former scientists in the 15th and 14th century, 16th century, because they recognize their ability and they recognize their contributions. And therefore, I wish for you, young people, young Muslims, to think of the fact that we can also do. There are people from our cultures that did these great things, and the whole world recognized them. And there are names on the moon and in Mars and all kinds of other places that recognizes the names of these wonderful, great scientists of the old days that contributed to the man's knowledge. And therefore, we can begin to say we can continue the path of these great individuals and do as well as they did, so that the whole world can recognize them later too. Then we'll go back to my statement. My summary statement was the fact that for the Apollo program to have succeeded so well, I don't need the slide anymore. Thank you. There were 5 things that actually allowed the success of that mission, which were the agency selection, select the proper agency, specify the time limit to finish the program or to do the job. 3, assign the proper management to encourage all the workers. 4, support the youth, encourage the youth. 5, recognize excellence by anybody that would do something and do it well, encourage that and secure their position. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. That was very, very enlightening.
From the in-house, the words from the in-house, they're from the
Exactly.
inner workings.
Yes, inner workings of
Apollo.
Not, I wouldn't say just Apollo, but the entire experience of humanity to reach up to the moon.
Yes.
Just
it's very important. It's very important that one of us Muslims was very heavily involved. Pardon? One of us. I'm a Muslim,
yes.
Muslim, as was very heavily involved, and
yes,
I was allowed to do this, and I was by NASA headquarters assigned me to be the secretary of the landing site selection committee, and then I was the principal investigator for for lunar observations and photography. So that was a real recognition, not from right away, but actually in the middle of the program. In the beginning of the program, I used to try to do this on my own, to just encourage the astronauts themselves and to do it on the side and to do this and that. And I succeeded in encouraging some of them, and they began to teach, to at least talk to each other about me, from the fact that I encouraged or helped some of them to become knowledgeable about the moon. They're all pilots, and they had no idea what the moon is like or made of. So I took the chance to talk to one of them. I encouraged him and made him knowledgeable, and he began to talk in the astronaut office about these things. One day, I was coming out of the astronaut office, and one guy was coming in, and he said, "Hey, are you Farouk El-Bayez?" I said, "Yes." I was not going to correct him to say Farouk El-Bayez. No, he said, "Farouk El-Bayez?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Hey, I want you to make me as smart as Ken." His buddy astronaut Ken, because Ken Mattingly was beginning to talk about what the beginning. And then he said, "Hell no, I want you to make me smarter than Ken." And when I heard that, I knew that now they begin to compete in the knowledge of the moon, and this is what we needed them to do. And that was, as far as I'm concerned, that was the measure of success, to have the astronauts themselves want to learn about the geology of the moon so that we can get as much from them as we possibly can.
If you don't mind enlightening me, why is geology of the moon important for the astronauts? It's important for you as the on the planning side. It's important for you on the selection side. But why is it important for the astronauts themselves?
Very good point, because the way we attack this is to certify. to say that all of the great explorations were made by people that had nothing to do with the real story of exploration. They were, somebody went to the sea, he said, I'm going to go to the South Pole, because nobody did that before. So they would go, but in the process, they would look at ice and try to describe it, look at things and find all kinds of animals that we have not seen, and find this and find that, and then tell us about what is the best way to deal with snow and all of these kinds of things. And so that we told them that all of the great knowledge that we have about the places we don't know about were from explorers that didn't just go to see and come back. No, they described all kinds of things on the way to this place and when they got there.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That answers it. They need to relay back accurate information.
Yes.
Okay.
Add to our knowledge.
Add to our knowledge. Yes, correct. All right. You also said that you did not join the whole program immediately. You joined halfway in the middle of it. So I surmise that you were not involved with Ranger and Surveyor.
No, I was. And I was involved I was in the committee of the lunar orbiter, because they were all at the same time. We
Okay.
knew exactly what is happening with the Ranger.
Okay.
We knew exactly what went, but I was in the committee that selected the photographic sites for the Apollo, for the orbiter.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Compared to what we have on Earth and orbiting Earth nowadays, we have LiDARs, we have radars, we have a whole lot of sensors from up there and from down here. And compared to now, how good were the sensors of 50 years ago?
They were lousy. They were nothing. They were nothing. The computer of the Apollo mission, meaning the computer in the Apollo spacecraft that did everything for the Apollo mission to the moon, from the Earth to the moon, was much less than what you have on your
Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
capability was much less.
Yes.
So there was the we didn't know, for instance, how about the radar equipment. We could develop a radar only for the last mission in the moon, and we now have all kinds of radar images of the Earth.
Yes.
We started all kinds of things, and we did them at a very rudimentary way, and they were just beginning to do things. And because, for instance, this GPS that is now in your car and in mine, everywhere in the world, where we go, we have GPS. Okay, the first test of the GPS I did for a group of individuals at the Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, here in Houston, near Washington. And they were playing games about they have a satellite that will beam something to the Earth, and maybe we will know where this thing is by coordinates. And so they knew that I was going to the Egyptian desert. After Apollo, I became principal investigator of something called the Apollo Soyuz mission in Earth orbit.
Yeah.
And for part of that was to photographing all kinds of deserts, including the Western Desert in Egypt. And we had to go headed into the Egyptian desert. And they told me, listen, we can give you a little thing that to receive things from the satellites. Can you take it with you all the way, wherever, so that we can figure out how to do this? So I did in 1978 the very first test for something called the GPS. How would it work? And so we had a big thing, and we elected it to one of the jeeps, and we did it back and forth until we fell. And then we actually learned where we went after we returned to Washington, and they took all of the information from this unit.
That is quite an achievement. I mean, a lot of time these background stories are not not known to the public. The amount of like what you say, the computer was lousy, the images were lousy, and yet you have the knowledge and the faith to go there, select the site, and land them safely and bring them back. That that's a real tough cookie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, coming back to what you said on the last statement, how did the Apollo's knowledge on you selecting the sites for the astronauts and all that help you back on Earth in your later work?
We only realized that how do you interpret photographs? Because I never really had worked on satellite images before the Apollo program. There were no satellite images of the Earth before Apollo.
Yes.
They started pictures of the Earth started in 1972 after the last Apollo mission. So there was no such thing. So we learned about interpreting photographs from the Apollo mission.
Cool.
So we began with Earth photography, and we took that step by step with Apollo Soyuz and then Landsat and on all kinds of things, so that there was a sequence of a learning curve.
Yeah.
From whatever we learned on the lunar exploration to what we applied to the Earth and to Mars and all of these others.
Oh, that's quite a process there. Yeah. Wow. And let's talk a bit about geology.
Sure.
What interested you in geology?
When I was a student, I wanted to be a medical doctor.
Don't we all?
Don't we all? Because it was the highest grade and this and that, and also we had a teacher of biology who brought in a fish to dissect it, and they said, "Can I do this for you?" Because I watched my mother how to do it, and they told me, "Come." And then he brought a frog, and I said, "I can do that." And he went, or he called me, and he said that Farouk is going to be a great surgeon. So I thought, I'm going to go to medical school and become a great surgeon. Period. My high school grades did not allow me to go to medical school. They told me you can go to dental school of Cairo University, and Cairo University was so far away from our building, where we lived. So they told me, or else you can go to Ain Shams University, which is close to where we live, for science. So I said, yeah, I'll go to science. And that's how I became a scientist.
But why geology?
Okay, I didn't really know that either.
Okay.
when I went to School of Science, and he said the man that was registering me, he said, you have to select 5 courses from that, and this includes physics, chemistry, and biology, all of this, that, and geology. I said, what is geology? He said, oh, these are the people that go into the desert and the mountain and get. I said, yeah, because I was in the primary school and high school both. I was in the Boy Scouts, and I loved going to the field. I loved going to the places called Mukatta Mountain near Cairo, or the other mountains near Cairo. So I loved the field work with looking. When he said these are the people that collect rocks, I said, yeah, I want that one. So I became a real geologist based on the fact that I really liked field work.
Okay, that's nice. And before I open up to the others to ask you their ideas and questions, how important is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or STEM as we call it, for humanity's future, for our existence now? Can we do without it? Because there is a general perception right now that Bill Gates didn't finish his graduate program, but he's a billionaire. And why do we need to struggle to do science and technology and engineering and maths? What is your take on that?
That is nonsense. Bill Gates did that because he was smart and he was lucky. That's all.
He was lucky, yeah.
Yeah. But he was lucky and smart to take the potential at the time when he did, and he stole some ideas and he did that, and it worked out for him. But science and technology is essential from day one. In ancient Egypt, much of what was done in ancient Egypt could not have been done with the science and technology of that day.
Yes, yes.
Egypt would not have been a great country without the
Correct.
yeah,
Yes,
all
yes,
of these things,
yes,
and without being able to cut rock and to do this and that. So science and technology is essential to every human existence, and it is so important now from all points of view. And it is to us, the science and technology is like medicine. You cannot work without medicine, and you cannot work without science and technology.
Yes. And okay, I would like to open to the floor. Anybody would like to ask anything to Prof?
I do have some questions to ask to Prof. Farouk Albas.
Yes, go ahead.
What is the sole purpose of going to the moon?
It was to develop the technology to be able to do that. So it wasn't really to go and get moon rocks, but to develop the technology, because you have to develop the rocket, you have to develop the things, and you have to train the astronauts, and you have to be able to go there and orbit the moon and then land on the moon and then come back. So it was really to develop the science and the technology needed to do all of these huge things to do. And that began the interest in science and technology, or the development of science and technology. Good question.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is required to become an astronaut?
Oh, because the fact that they had to fly the spacecraft so well, they had to actually become first pilots of aircraft, and then train for the spacecraft. Because in space there is a difference in gravity and all kinds of things, and there is no air, so that the machine functioned differently. So they had to be trained very proficiently in how to function with this machine in space.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Prof. I'm Aisha. I'm so excited to talk to you because you work with Apollo. I watched the movie Apollo last time in Netflix, and I have 3 questions here.
Right.
First, is there any risk of damage to lunar module after landed on the moon? Second,
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Second,
Go ahead.
If lunar module is damaged, what will happen to the astronauts?
Okay, good. That's very important, because one of the most important things that we had to make sure that we know about the landing site and our deliberations about site selection is the fact that would be absolutely no blocks in the place where the landing site is, so that the spacecraft would land correctly on the 4 legs. Because if it did not, because one leg is on top of a boulder or a rock that is 2 feet high, the spacecraft would topple like that, and the astronauts would be dead. So if the landing craft did not land correctly, the astronauts would die. There would be no discussion. There is no alternative.
Third, is there any rescue strategy if something went wrong?
No, there was absolutely no way of doing that, because you would have to, 3 days later, you have to send somebody else and correctly do this, and where would they land and what would happen. So this was a matter of take away. If you make a mistake and you crash and you die, that will be it. There is no rescue.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Sure.
Others?
Professor, I have a question.
Sure.
I heard that they had a quarantine after the Apollo mission.
Yes.
After the Apollo 11 mission, when the first man landed on the moon, because they had fears of the moon plague. So my question is, do you think that the anticipation for the worst of the worst that could happen made the Apollo missions more of a success?
No, they Yeah, that's good, because the anticipation of making it and also success is the fact that we know if we made a mistake, the astronauts might die. So there was a very good reason to do as best as we possibly can in the planning for the mission. You're right. But as far as the quarantine, is the fact that we're right. We're going to a place we have no idea if there is something that is weird that they can bring back here and will kill so many million people in 1 hour or something like that. So we don't know how to deal with it because it's not produced here, or we don't know the chemistry of it. So the quarantine was to just make sure that they are not carrying something hugely bad for humans, either from space or from the moon. Good question.
Prof. Yeah.
Yes.
Just a minute before I carry on. Let the others. I would like you to tell about the background people, because most of the time we youngsters, not so young, we youngsters get pictures and movies and information from books that are more skewed towards the astronauts and the people from the command center and those type of things. What about the background people like yourselves? What disciplines, geology, what else was involved? I'm sure physics, chemistry, everything else is there.
Yeah, but the background people were not very important in the sciences. Actually, the background people that were important were those in the engineering, the mechanical engineering, the civil engineering, all of the flight engineering, and all of these things. Because of the missions were an engineering effort, and so it was not really a scientific mission. It was an engineering push, because it is to fly to the moon and come back safely. So this is all flying, and all of the orbital mechanics are essential and so on. So it was the calculations were very important, and then if you're going to be there and you do something scientific, then we have to get to the scientists to help us too. So it was really an engineering effort, and it took the scientists on the tail, kind of.
Nice, thanks.
Because when we were working with the NASA Houston people, and we asked them for more time to do this and more time to do this and so on, the engineers would tell us, "Listen, guys, our mandate said that we should send a man to the moon and bring him back safely to the Earth. It did not say and bring back some dirt." So be quiet and we can get samples, and that's it.
Just to add to that, how much rock did the whole program actually bring back total?
Each mission is like 6 or 8 kilograms, so
6
quite a
or 8
bit.
kilograms. Oh,
yeah.
That's
Average, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
It's almost 10 o'clock, so thank you very much for that. It's wonderful to see all of these young faces, and it is really the young people that we're hoping to see you. And from what I said first, they support the youth, because of the fact that the youth are the ones that actually make a nation. So we're waiting for the youth of all of the Muslim countries to make the new recognition of the new Renaissance. Thank you for all your help.
Yes, thanks, Prof. Would you like to explain your background picture? It's not a bit clear today.
Oh, just a picture of the moon. One very interesting picture of the Earth as seen from lunar orbit.
Okay.
The crescent Earth as seen from lunar orbit. So this is the big one here is the moon, and the little thing in the sky is the Earth.
There's a bit of light reflection.
Yeah, the light reflection.
Yeah. Yes, nice. Yes.
Yeah. That's the Earth.
Okay.
That's
All
half.
Earth is at the background, and the foreground is the moon.
Is the moon. Yeah.
Okay. Any
Thank
last
you very much.
questions? Any last questions?
Me.
That's it. Thanks.
You guided the Apollo 11 astronauts to the moon, and there were about 6 missions that has succeeded. Did you assist all 6 missions?
Yes, I was the secretary of the landing site selection for all Apollo missions from 11 through 17. And I trained astronauts of all the Apollo missions, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Nothing else, and let's call
Thank
it
you
a
very
day
much.
then. Yes, thanks, Prof.
Thank you.
I'll hand it over to, just hang on a bit, Prof.
Dr. Prabha.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually have a question too.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
May I?
Yeah, sure. Carry on.
Okay, Prof. For Farouk, it's an honor. Okay, my question is ice and today to enter into astronomy, geology, and so on.
I'm sorry, I did not hear it. You were interrupted. Your voice didn't come.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me ask again. What is your advice and word of encouragement, or maybe word of encouragement to these young generations out there and together with us today, so that they can venture into astronomy, geology, or any related STEM careers?
Well, the STEM careers, yes. Anybody who is studying well in any of the engineering or any of the sciences or any of the STEM topics, just keep going at it and keep reading, keep involving yourself by reading. The only thing that can actually get you to where you are is acquiring knowledge, and you cannot acquire knowledge except through reading. I myself didn't even have a single course on astronomy, but I'm now a member of the International Astronomical Union. I am the one that told the astronauts about the moon. I am the one that did this and that. All of it by reading and figuring out what things. And today I am still reading. I still read things written about the moon now from way back, meaning today. I'm 83 years old, and I'm still reading books every single day, because that is the only way the human mind develops. So continue to read anything. I don't care what you read, but read all the time. And if you want to improve yourself in your field, read in your field constantly, every single day. Don't let one day go without learning something new.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Prof.
Thanks.
Okay, okay, Shauki, it's over to you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Prof. Barakarian and also Prof. Farouk. Okay,
Yes.
we do have like several questions from YouTube, because of I think that Prof. Barakarian is very focused on having in the Zoom. But then yes, I will read some of questions from YouTube. So from Zita Abdullah, asking, Prof, did anything went wrong during the Apollo 11, and what was it? So maybe Prof. Farouk can explain.
No, nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. Well, but something didn't work exactly as we suggested, because they landed a little farther west than we planned, because as the two spacecraft separated from each other, there was an increase in velocity that they didn't know about it, and that pushed them further down. So they just landed a little further away from the point that we said we selected for them before the mission. But there was in the same place, in the same region, but we had an ellipse 11 kilometers long, and they just moved 4 kilometers to the west of the the selected landing site. So nothing went wrong. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So next question is wait, I have to scroll it because of like a lot of question in the YouTube. Okay, in the future, is there any chances we are going to Mars, Prof? This question is from Mr. Duck. Prof,
I don't
are you there?
see Prof.
Prof already on the moon, I think. Okay, wait until Prof in the line first.
Come back
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Curiosity waiting because of like there's a lot of question in YouTube also. So yeah, I think there's a lot of nice question from our students, school students and university. So that yeah, but we are waiting for the main person. Okay, meanwhile, we are waiting for Prof. Farouk to come in back from the moon. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier just now, we'll be having a quiz and also short video competition based on the ISICS program. So is that Mr. Zuhaili Zulkifli from JPN Kedah in the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, all right. Oh yeah, that's very nice. A yellow shirt. Okay, so maybe you can do some short briefing on the quiz and also short video competition, please.
Okay, all right. Will do. Thank you very much, MC, and our moderator today, Dr. Prabha. Please wait for a while. Can the host enable me to share the screen?
Sorry again, Mrs. Zuhaili.
They want permission to share screen.
Oh, permission to share the screen. Okay, wait.
Yeah, permission to share the screen, please.
Our technical is working on it.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so you're able to share. All right.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Okay, good.
Okay. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and good morning, everyone, fellow audience. And for today, I'm going to explain a bit regarding to the short video competition and also the quiz of ISCIS 2021, the series 1. My name is Mr. Zuhaili Zulkifli. I'm currently the Assistant Director of the Pupils Talent Development of the Kedah State Education Department for Ministry of Education Malaysia. All right, so as you can see from this short video competition, okay, we are going to carry out, I'm going to give this talk in bilingual, okay, both in Bahasa Melayu and also in English. Okay, so our first of all, I'm going to share to all the audience today the link. Okay, so can you see the link? Okay, all right. So students, okay, these are the links for each respective states. Okay, they already been divided into number 1, Perlis, Kedah, Pulau Pinang, and also Perak. And then second link is for Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, and also Putrajaya. The third link there is for Negeri Sembilan, Melaka, and Johor. And then the fourth link is for Pahang, Terengganu, and Kelantan. The fifth link is for Sarawak, Sabah, and Wilayah Persekutuan Labuan. And the sixth and the last link is for the international students. So this for international student is for the every students that out of Malaysia. Okay, so for the my fellow Malaysian students, okay, there are 5 links over there. You can scan the QR code now, and the organizer also had already put the link in the comment section. Okay, all right, they will put the link in the comment section as well. Okay, so these are the links that you may register your attendance to this workshop this morning. Okay, please fill in. Please ensure that you fill the correct information in the form. Okay, and then after you finish putting in your information, you may start to answer the quiz straight away. So sekali lagi saya ulang dalam bahasa Melayu lah. Okay, so kita ada kelima-lima link ini untuk setiap negeri di Malaysia. Ada link pertama iaitu Perlis, Kedah, Pulau Pinang dan Perak. Kita ada untuk Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya. Kita ada link ketiga untuk murid daripada Negeri Sembilan, Melaka dan juga Johor. Kita ada link keempat untuk Pahang, Terengganu dan Kelantan. Kita ada link kelima untuk Sarawak, Sabah dan Wilayah Persekutuan Labuan. Jadi kita ada satu lagi link khas untuk murid-murid daripada luar negara. Kerana kita tahu bahawa dalam kita punya bengkel ataupun workshop ini ada terdapat murid-murid daripada luar negara, daripada Indonesia, Thailand, okay, Filipina yang hadir bersama dengan kita pada pagi ini. Okay, so pastikan anda menjawab semua soalan dan pertandingan ini, okay, ataupun kuis ini akan dibawa untuk melayakkan diri anda untuk pertandingan short video competition yang dijalankan oleh pihak penganjur. Jadi sedikit makluman, okay, I know that the line, okay, which is going to be jammed later. So we are going to open up this competition, this quiz, this attendance form from 16th of September, which is now 10 o'clock. Okay, until 18th of September, also till 10 o'clock. Okay, and we will follow to the Malaysian time, GMT +8. Okay, so you from now on until 18th of September. So this is to open to the reason why we are doing this, so that those students who cannot join us now, they may watch this workshop again and they can participate, they can register in the form, and they may also to answer the quiz. Okay, so there are only 40 question quiz, which is very simple quiz. All right, but it has a different level of difficulties. Please make sure that you get 10 marks and above. Okay, please make sure that you get 10 marks and above. Okay, so when you give your attendance, when you carry out the quiz, okay, we are the organizer, please submit it, don't forget to submit it as well, and then the organizer will get your details. Okay, if you don't submit it, we cannot get your details. Please do remember that. Okay, all right, so when we get your detail, we will work. Okay, the organizer will take maximum 1 month, okay, 30 days, okay, 30 working days, okay, to ensure that you will get your digital cert. Okay, so you will get your participation cert, okay, through your email. All right, so and then those the top students who get the highest mark with the quickest time, okay, will qualify for this short video competition, where the organizer is going to carry out one workshop specifically for those who get into the final. Okay, and we are going to do for primary school student, and we are going to do it as well for the secondary school student category. And then the workshop will be focused on how to carry out the short video. Okay, so the theme of the competition will be announced there, and then you will get the achievement certificate when you entered the second stage of the short video competition. So sekali lagi saya ulang balik ya, Encik Syauqi. Okey, berkaitan dengan pertandingan ini, so sila pastikan semua anak murid mengisi borang kehadiran yang dah boleh diakses mulai sekarang sehingga 18 September 10 pagi. Okey, ini untuk memberi peluang kepada semua murid yang tidak dapat hadir pada pagi ini, mungkin ada kekangan-kekangan tertentu seperti masalah internet dan sebagainya, dan mereka boleh menonton semula workshop ini ataupun bengkel ini. Kemudian mereka juga boleh nak akses kepada borang kehadiran. Sila ingat borang kehadiran itu adalah mengikut negeri masing-masing. Kemudian anda perlu menjawab soalan-soalan kuis yang ada dalam tu, dan anda perlu mendapat 10 markah dan ke atas. Tetapi jangan risau kerana soalan yang dibina itu ada level of difficulty ataupun tahap kesukaran, di mana dia ada soalan mudah, sederhana dan juga tinggi. Dia dapatkan 10 markah dan ke atas, dan pihak penganjur akan dapat details anda, akan dapat maklumat anda setelah anda menghantar borang penyertaan bersama dengan kuis jawapan dalam kuis tersebut. So anda tidak perlu gusar kerana kita buka sehingga 2 hari. So anda mempunyai masa yang cukup untuk melaksanakan pengisian borang kehadiran dan juga untuk nak mengisi nak menjawab soalan-soalan kuis tersebut. Dan selepas peserta yang mendapat markah tertinggi daripada kategori sekolah rendah dan sekolah menengah akan dipilih untuk menyertai bengkel short video competition yang akan dilaksanakan oleh penganjur. Kemudian kita akan buat satu lagi pertandingan peringkat kedua, iaitu short video, video pendek, pertandingan video pendek yang berkaitan dengan astronomi. Jadi semua detail akan diberikan kepada murid-murid yang layak untuk ke peringkat yang seterusnya. Okay, I think that will be all regarding to this attendance form and also the quiz. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much to Mrs. Zul. So before that, Mrs. Zul, the comments in the YouTube saying that there's cannot scan the barcode. So maybe you can provide the link or you can just copy paste into the
So,
chat. Okay?
yeah, sure. The organizer will provide the link. Okay, and then and the organizer will post this. Okay, in the YouTube, in the Unimap's YouTube page and the Unimap Facebook page, okay, and any other, and also with my Kedah State Education Department's Facebook page as well. So we're going to share this, okay, we're going to share the link to all the, and my fellow JPN's officers also is going to help to spread the link. We are going to give you guys 2 days to slowly enter your attendance and also to answer the quiz. So don't worry, we will spread this information to all the audience. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Zul, for your nice explanation on the quiz and also the short video competition from ISICS Series 1. So, Mr. Prabhakaran, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So because we are still waiting for...
Yeah, we're still waiting for Prof to come back in.
Prof.
Yeah.
Farouk.
Yeah.
I think just now he went to Moon, and also right now he's going to Mars already before going back to Earth.
It takes 6 months to come back from Mars.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
In the meantime, while we're waiting for Prof, any of you guys want to ask any questions? We can keep them in writing, or you can write. We can type it down on the chat, just to keep in memory.
Prabha.
Yes, sir.
We have Dr. Hashima here. Is it Dr. Hashima? Are you still in the Zoom? Hashima Hassan from NASA.
Oh, okay. Dr. Hashima? She's in, but is muted. No, Zoom chat, nothing much. So YouTube chat. YouTube chat is too busy.
Okay, Prof, I think there's a technical issue over there from Prof. Farouk. So I think we have to end here. But then before that, we would like to have a screenshot or photo session with all of us to ensure that this event is actually attended by a very awesome participant. So may I have your video camera on, everyone? Okay, and our moderator is ready. Okay, so please stay still and smile to the camera. We're gonna hit the screenshot button. In 3, 2, 1, smile. And one more time, 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, hold on. Keep on smiling, guys.
It's painful.
Yeah, because of like we do have more than 56 participants.
Yeah.
So we have to take everyone to make sure that they are good. Okay, so everyone, may I have your thumbs up, please? Showing this event is very good. Thumbs up. Okay, good. All right, thank you so much to our technical team. And also, I think that is it. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank to Prof. Farouk, especially because of for his time to share with us his interesting story and also experiences regarding the Apollo mission. And also a very big thank you to Prof. Prabhakaran. Okay, like a lot of things you shared today, and also we wanted to know about this later. Maybe we have another session. Okay, so we already done with the quiz and also short video competition by Mrs. Zuhaili. Thank you so much for your briefing. So ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our program, and we like to thank and also a big gratitude and thank you to our attendees for joining us today. And also, please check our website for updates on the next series. Okay. Before that, we do have Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Innovation, Professor Rizal Pandey, in the line. Can I hear your voice, Prof?
Assalamualaikum, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam.
And good morning.
So you have anything to say?
Well, first thing first, I think thank you very much to the organizer, and also, of course, to the MC today, Mr. Shauki, and also the Prof. Prabhakaran as the moderator. And of course, we would like to give a big thanks to Prof. Farouk Elbaz that spare some golden times to share with us about the missions of Apollo. I think I also is very glad to see that faces from the students of Malaysia. I can see across, I think all over Malaysia, and so we do have some of the audience from globally, international students. So we would like to promote that the STEM is very crucial nowadays, And we hope that those who are joining us today will choose STEM as one of your main agenda for your career, in your future career. And inshallah, we will actually organize another series. Well, today is actually the first series of the event of the I6, and hopefully we can meet again on the other series that will be coming soon, inshallah, in the next in the near future, inshallah, until next year. So thank you very much to everyone, and back to you, Shauki.
All right, thank you, Prof. Fandi, as the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Innovation from UNIMAP. Okay, so we have come to the end once again. So I would like to express our highly appreciation to all of you for attending and making this event as smooth as planned, just like butter. Okay, a very big thank you to our special invited guests, especially our Vice Chancellor, our Deputy Vice Chancellor, and guest of honor for your time. And also, I think we would like to have a round of applause to the committee members for the hard work. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for organizing. And before we end the session, let's together sing dua dekat tradisi Gemilang song. As for now, Assalamualaikum, terima kasih, dan thank you. Selamat Hari Malaysia.
Dua dekad kita bersama membangun misi visi, membina melestari universiti kita. Dua dekad kita bersama menuju destinasi, panji kecemerlangan teknologi kejuruteraan, keterlihatan antara bangsa. UNIMAP menyerah maju jaya. Dua dekad tradisi gemilang, teknologi transformasi komuniti. Dua dekad kita bersama membangun misi visi, membina melestari universiti kita. Dua dekad kita bersama menuju destinasi, panji kecemerlangan teknologi kejuruteraan, keterlihatan antara bangsa. UNIMAP menyerah maju jaya. Dua dekad tradisi gemilang, teknologi transformasi komuniti. UNIMAP maju jaya.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining. And thanks, Dr. Nazri, for organizing the whole thing.